Okay, everybody. First, today you can look at the text from the first homage. It's saying that the one who is teaching with means of different occasions thought that all of the way of ones on a Dharma to indescribable wish to wear, not Dharma. Oh, the first homage. They say the one who by tongues of fame of the Vajra present wisdom, contempt of the mountains and fearless of the view of the self and world protectors who embodies benefit of the place of seven kind of consciousness, who becomes the God of the God. I bow to the Lord of the Conqueror. That one, that verse, from the beginning, there's a Om Sort Namo Buddhaya. After that verse is, I think many people confuse, and many commentaries have different meanings. So I believe last week I taught clear, but if it's not clear, I'm going to say today again. So that means first they say the one who buy the tongues, or how to say?
Tongues.
Anybody?
Tongues. Yeah.
Okay.
Tongue.
Yes, the one who by the tones of the film of the Vajra praised person of wisdom. Okay. Then what say? Consumed of mountains, fearless of the view of the self. So what is basically saying is here, Kankayehi means the Buddha. Buddhas, the person of wisdom is like a Vajra film. Of course, Vajra film, what destroys is the self of the person and self of the phenomenon. That they tells us like the forest and mountain. But then they say Nam Hiv Dinni Sagun Jiktinchong. That one people confuse. So Nam Hiv Dinni means seven consciousness means within Gni means you can say the seventh of the consciousness, you can say that, or you can say who possessed seven consciousness, or you can say who possessed seventh the consciousness. Either way, that is the anybody is that is a samsaric being. Then the protector who rescue the all the people, all the beings under the earth. So that's the people confused a little bit. So these seven, and some dictionaries and some places have different explanations. Some say some seven types of gods, or seven types of worlds, seven types of realms, and many things people said. But I think the most easy way to understand and more make sense is the seven, whoever, either you can say the seven consciousnesses who possess, or either the seventh consciousness possess. These people doesn't matter you are on the earth, or you are above the earth, or you are under the earth, doesn't matter. You are samsaric being. So the Buddha who protect is the samsaric beings. So that's why Dzokden means sometimes Dzokden, the under the earth means Nanga realm. Some people say Nanga realm, some people say hell realm, hungry god, doesn't matter. Whatever is either on the earth or under the earth. So that meaning. And then so the next one says Ha. Ha is the gods. Gods is always above the earth. So that's why is this the first one say under the earth. The second one is Ha, said implied, implied above the earth, or the medium, of course. If is protector of even gods, even the god of the god, of course, then god of the human. So that's so obvious. But if you say like Buddha Shakyamuni, if you can refer Buddha Shakyamuni as a human being and a supreme human being, and he is of course a protector of all humans. That's the obvious level. So and then you are the not obvious level of that God, and under the earth, Nanga and everything. If you said it, then it is very easily implied that protector of human. So you can understand that way is more easy and suitable way. So don't worry too much and too many other explanations. Okay, so that's all I want to say today. And even you try to understand or like a Buddha nature, not that the Buddha is the manifestation of Buddha, not an emanation Buddha, not the Rupakaya Buddha. You can say the Dharmakaya Buddha way, the Tathagata. Also, you can understand that way, no problem. Either way is that one should be like that. I hope that's clear. Okay. That may be a little bit fast, but I hope you understood. So I wait and 1 minute. So translation have time a little bit more. And then last time where we leave that verse, we can go this again a little bit because some people are, I think, a little bit confused. So we can talk this a little bit again. So okay, everybody found the text. And then here's in that way, Subhuti, all dharmas are emanations. And some of emanations of the
Shravakas.
Huh?
Shravakas.
Okay, sarvakas. Some are emanations of
Pratyeka Buddhas.
particular Buddhas.
Buddhas.
Yes. Some are emanations of bodhisattvas. Yes. Some of emanations of Tathagatas. Some of emanations of affliction emotions. Some are emanations of Dharma. So that means very easy, understand way. All of them, as long as belong to relative truth, and then is not absolute truth. If this is not absolute truth, then is emanation. That means emanations means not absolutely truth. So that is a simple way to understand. But why I say Charvaka, Patyaka, Bodhisattva, and Tathagata, afflictive emotions, and Dharma, why I say this? So that means Tathagatas, firstly, Charvakas and Patyaka Buddha, or level of their understanding still is not absolute truth. And also, themselves, we can understand they also is not absolute truth. Of course, same bodhisattva. It is so obvious in that way, afflictive emotions, afflictions, like the basically simple way is karmic perception. All of them, of course, not absolute truth. If it is not absolute truth, then of course, we can call illusion or delusion or we can emanation or whatever say, doesn't matter. Some people have a little bit different meanings, but the real meaning is not the absolute truth. If it's not an absolute truth, you understand that, you don't worry too much. They all are different levels, And in translation here says, the last one, some of emanations of provisional Dharma. So why he say provisional Dharma? Added, not in the text, but added. Why? Because to make understanding. Provisional means relative Dharma, not Dharmakaya. Dharmakaya, if it's a Dharmakaya, and then absolute truth. So many like that. So, and then after that say Zhentong, Solwa, quand martyri chute quand l'argena, questarwa, ramjur, quand l'arkiwa me patang, gakwa me patin, martyrwa, solwa, jumdan dite, quand ramjur ten, mahri chuchendim, yanganli dipati, chuten martyrwa, ji, dochsam den tenbark sonso. Dina, dernier union, the minium, the dopafsalva. So last week we talked all of them together. The essence, I'm going to tell you now. So then you not confused. The essence of the week we talk about is Buddha. The Taranatha saying, if you don't understand the Zhentong, and then your understanding is limited. Why is limited? Because even you understanding the Buddha's three training Dharma ways are wrong way. That's why you understand a limit. Then his opposition is that Zhentong, okay? But Zhentong Pashir, always he say Pashir. Pashir means the most of Zhentongpas, okay? Not every single Zhentongpa mistake, but he's saying the most of Zhentongpas in Tibet, they misunderstand. Why misunderstand? Because most of Zhentongpas think that in the third Dharma, well of the third Dharma, some people think all is the provisional teaching, but some even some think not all is the definitive teaching. That is the root of the mistake. That he's saying. Then how do you know their mistake? Because you guys send the essence, okay? The essence saying, you guys means the Zhentongpas. You guys saying the most of Zhentongpas, okay? The most of Zhentongpas. You guys saying, oh, Buddha's third Dharma will talk once. What he said in the third Dharma, not all is definitive. And then you interpreted them. Then that is really wrong, he said. Why is it wrong? Because Buddha himself said it. That is the most final definitive teaching. But you are Zhentongpas, most of Zhentongpas. You not saying this, you not relying on Buddha himself's words, and you interpret it with some commentaries, like Chanting, that kind of this, some of the Zhentongpas. You rely on these commentaries and you interpreted Buddha's teaching. And you not rely on Buddha's words, you rely on these commentaries. That is the root of your problem. So that's why he's saying, in that case, you not understanding the three Dharma whales, meaning why is it three? What means the first Dharma whale? What is the second Dharma whale? What third Dharma whale? You understand wrong way. So that's he said, basically. Then, okay, what kind of the interpreting? That we already said it. You not making Zhentongpa, you not making the relative Dharma and the definitive Dharma. You not making difference. You put together, and both is self-empty. So he said that. But it's proved, Buddha himself said, are they separated? That we already said, proved in the, just we said this, Sharvakas, Patiyokas, and the afflictions and bodhisattvas, all even Dharma, all of them relative truth, all emanation. And then the last one say, okay, then what is not Subhiti asked it, phenomenon is not emanation. Okay, then what is Buddha? What is not emanation? And then Buddha said, Buddha spoken saying, Subhiti, a phenomenon that is Here said unborn, uncreated, but I think that's a little bit maybe wrong, the translation. The meaning is incontrovertible. How do you say? Let me just.
It's a nirvanic, incontrovertible knower or
Yes.
perceiver of
So
phenomena.
here said the Ramjur, then Mahavi Chuchen, Nyangelni Dipartes, Nirvana, he said, Nirvana. Nirvana is the only is not emanation. Nirvana is not only is not an emanation, and Mahava means incontrovertible, and only this one is not emanation. Means Nirvana means not we talking about the Theravada way of Nirvana, talking about the Mahayana and Vajrayana way of the Nirvana, which means Buddha nature simply. You know, this is the only is not emanation. So here is proved. They are, the first one is, or we say emanation. Emanation means basically relative truth, which is not emanation and incontrovertible. That one, nirvana, is the absolute truth. Okay,
Rinpoche.
so the essence is that. Yes.
Could you say an incontrovertible knower is a yogic perception? Is that correct to say?
No, not here. Not saying this. Just saying incontrovertible is incontrovertible Dharma. You can say even Dharma. Ramjur ten Mahavi Chuchen. Chuchen means you know Chuchen. Chuchen means you can say. Chuchen means just the existent, you know, the existent, the incontrovertible existent or incontrovertible of the phenomenon. This one is the only the nirvana. Here translation will say unknowing. He said unknowing, uncreating is not emanation. Yeah. So you can say phenomenal if you want. That's Chuchen. Chuchen means the best. You know, when we are Tibetan, we say just a Chuchen, which means you know whatever you bring up, that one is just a Chuchen. Just a Chuchen means just that phenomenal. Such thing, or maybe you can say such thing or phenomenal. Yeah. So that is only nirvana. That is only is not emanation. Okay. Ona tonga devrach shekhi stanbarter niton dorde tak shepcher hi kangli semchen kanzag skiverstan chute tamchet changwi tonde hi jipanda mundod tam jena. Then if someone asks, if the emptiness have to understand whatever Buddha say, whatever Tathagata say, this you have to make all the sutras you distinguish. Which one is definitive, which one is provisional. If that case, then Kali Simchen Kanzak Kivtan, wherever Buddha said something, or this is a sentient being, this is a person, all of them is provisional teaching. Do you agree this? Then say, yes, of course I agree. The answer is that. So here's teachings, emptiness through existence, I don't know how to say, Sutagataba.
Sugata-garbha.
Or Sugata-garbha. Sugata-garbha is known to be separated from the definitive meaning in
Sutras.
Sutras, these taught by the beings who are common individuals. All such teachings are known to be the provisional meaning. Has that not been maintained? This answer, Korlo Tamar Nyortan Bayang, Stonwer, Stonjis Trooper Manchella. Tambi Budakso Kanzak Tamofton, Datafton Na an Tamam Chuktahi. Said, of course we agree that, and he said, the final Dharma we're teaching talk about the essence, the Buddha nature. Yes, you talk name of the emptiness, but not is, what do you say? Truparmenchalla means not elaborated nature. Tambi dakso kanzak tamartons, and then the last the final Dharma talk about name of the person, self, but not a person. If look only this, still we knows the final Dharma is the third Dharma well is the supreme. Okay, I tell you why. Because if is not final Dharma well, and then if you talk about emptiness, is meaning is self-empty. There is no other way. But in final Dharma well, you talking emptiness, but you have self-empty meaning, or empty of other, you have both names, both meanings. That's why not elaborated means is go beyond what we can understand, the emptiness we conceptually can understand. Go beyond that. That's not elaborate. Conceptual can understand is belong to the elaboration. And then, if it's not final Dharma well, then we talk about person or self is the same meaning. But in the final Dharma, person doesn't mean is, or self or person doesn't mean what we can understand the person, or self, because go beyond that. So this alone, the third Dharma will is much more definitive. So that's he said. Then the next verse say, Wamshuk Sokyam Pakwarafshan Modkyo, Dunbar Maron Tetsig Tsanmafsha, Chiefshir Jenarkom Chuklik Jenta, Tanshir Tandut Namgi Torshayin. Most of Zhentong, they don't like Zhentong because their misunderstanding is Wamshuk. Wamshuk is a Maheshwara. Usually we call Shiva, yeah?
It's another name, yes.
Yes. So Maheshwara and all this and so forth, which means other, you know, the Hindu figures or these ones. According to Zhentong, they agree they are Arya beings, but still not considered as Buddha, Tunba. Therefore, you don't rely on what they say. Here said you, what to say, Mahasiva and so forth, indeed have been called exalted. Okay. Exalted, but teachings that is not right for words are not valid spoken. Why? They are spoken in terms of others than the three jewels. Such words are abandoned by those who seek liberation. Because it's not three jewels. Why agreeing? Why is saying not three jewels? As long as you not categorize and three jewels, then is not you something on relying on. If you do, that means not true refugee. Not true refugee. So that's saying. Then he said, Danar Gyatso Tsanma Mbatang, Hokun Gajik Tsamando Pang Yot, Tetak Mustak Namgi Tang Lotun Song, Pakpa in Bishon de Menyamna, Washik Sola, Requatim Sonso. Because above the said, Shiva and Andra or all these ones are not enlightened. If we say this, all Zhentong agree. You know, all Buddhists agree. But Dharanatha say, okay, we are agreed together. They are not part of three jewels. We are agreed together. Zhentong more respect them, but still we are okay, same category. But you guys, sometimes Buddha's teaching is not valid, and so you're not saying that, but you are become like that because you are relying on commentaries of the Buddha teachings. You're not relying on Buddha's words. So that's he said. That is, he said, same as that non-Buddhist. You are a similar of the Hindus. You are similar of those. If you say, oh, no, no problem, because as you said, even Shiva, all these things are exotic beings, which means noble beings, Aryas. So we are relying on the commentary. Also, they are Arya beings. If Ramtongpa says that, then yes. In that case, you have to agree, or this non-Buddhist, because usually you never agree. Or this who got refugee on Shiva, Indra, all of them, you are same. Because you all not rely on Buddha's teachings and instead rely on those. That's Taranatha said. He said, you seems like not Buddhist because there is somebody better than Buddha. You believe. You believe there's somebody better than Buddha because the words you rely on is not Buddha. And gentility and so forth, okay? Then he says, give tenyerim chokta jimanger tetakton babjili lokhormas. So that means you are out of the four reliances. Because Buddha teachings, Buddha said, we have to have four reliances. First, you have to rely on the teaching, not the person. Second, you have to rely on absolute truth, not the relative truth. You have to rely on positive wisdom, not the consciousness. You have to rely on the meaning, not the teaching. But you guys are out of that. That's Taranatha saying. Now he tell one by one. That is Sanggi Lilagandoshan. Okay. Kunzop tane yopi yoparndot, kunzop tane mena me parndot, tontam tane me kyang yotparndot, tontam mendot kunzop lartonos. You are relying on relative truth, not the absolute truth. Why? Because you guys, if is exist in the relative truth, you agree. And then if not exist in the relative level, you still agree is not exist. Something is not exist in absolute truth, still you believe still exist. So therefore, you are relying on absolute truth, not the relative truth. That's he said. Okay, why he said this to the all master of Ramtongpas? Why he said that? I tell you. The first, very, very clear, is Gelugpa viewpoint. Gelugpa's viewpoint always say that very clearly, if it really exists in the relative truth, then it's the truth. But not exist relative truth, it still exists. That's why Gelugpa point of view say you like Tabor. Tabor is always exist. The not exist is the only inherent the Tabor. And then Nyama and everybody argue this, and all the early translations, Gajipa, everybody agree, say no. That's not possible. If it's that case, you're not even negating what is the reality. You are negating something else. So that there's so many arguments. I don't have to say it. Everybody could see it. You can see Jimapam's arguments. And you can see, many. That's very, very common. But you may think maybe, why then, if Zhentong they arguing each other, and then why did another say most of Zhentong, not just Gelugpa? Why he say everybody, almost everybody? That we have to analyze. Okay. I give you a draw of the analysis. For instance, here say, Tontam tan mechang yut parundut means when Zhentong argue, when even I try to argue, Serang Tongpas, if you are self-empty, and then both true truth is self-empty, then you no need even try to reach enlightenment, because reach enlightenment is not exist at all. The Buddha nature is not exist at all as equal, same as Tabor. Because you believe both self-empty. When I say this, because empty means nothing means. Empty means nothing, and then always Ramtongpa say, oh, emptiness is not nothingness. Always they say that. Oh, no, emptiness is not nothingness. So that means even you emptified everything, still there's something exists. So that means either you have to agree you are not Zhentongpa, or you can say you are relying on relative truth. But the ultimate truth, even because you agree the ultimate truth is emptiness, right? And then emptiness is not nothingness. Why you not even negating selves, two selves? Why you need a negating? What is the benefit of negating? If emptify is not nothing, if emptify is not negating, so in that case, sometimes is what Gelugpa said seems like more true, because why? Because Gelugpa said non-feminine negative. The emptiness is non-feminine negative. So if it's non-feminine negative, then is nothingness. But the other Rangtongbas arguing, oh, you not good because you believe that non-feminine negative. Nothingness, you becomes nothingness. That's not good. They are arguing that. So which means is self-defeating. Why you self-defeating? Because you believe a Rangtong. That's the only truth. You don't understand the Zhentong. So that's why you are self-arguing together, each other. Both of you believe you are Rangtong and then still you arguing each other. So that's why I think here saying your negating a self becomes pointless. That kind of I think arguing Taranata, but still, of course, everybody can analyze. Therefore, he said, you are out of the first relying. You rely on relative truth, not ultimate truth. Okay, there's another way. There's many other ways also you can explain why you are relying on relative truth, not the ultimate truth. But maybe that's enough today. So other times we can discuss. The next one, Nam hi ngor yonna yot parandor nam hi ngor mena mekochut. Ye hi nangor mekyang yochizer ye hi fani nam hi zamlartun. So now you are not relying on personal wisdom. You are relying on consciousness, conceptual consciousness. That's he saying. Why he saying this? Of course, if it exists in, okay, maybe I say this way. Because Jonang-Shambhala always say, the relative truth is never exist. They say that. And then others shock. Oh my God. If it is, the relative is never exist, then you have to agree the cause and effect not exist. The merit not exist, the enlightenment not exist, the enlightenment path is not exist, everything not exist. Your own teacher, your lama, your everything, 3 jewels, everything is not true exist. You have to agree this. That is absolutely nihilism. And Gelugpa saying, everything is exist, only not existed in, inheritable. And then Nyamapa and everybody have a little bit different way of saying. But what is the common way is all of, or we can say that almost everybody or the Rangtongpa never say relative truth is never exist. So that's why if it exists in the relative truth, then you agree exist in general. Is something not exist in the relative, based on relative truth, then you all agree not exist. Oh, no. Sorry. I mistake the line. Okay. That's why I say anything is on the conception level exist is you agree. And anything conceptual level is not exist, then you agree not exist. Yehi nor mekyang yo jizersi. Yehi fani nam hi zam lartons. Yehi nor mekyang yo jizer. So this one you have to understand very clear. Something is even not exist in present wisdom, you still agree is exist. Okay? We say, or the most of Rinpoche. Why you saying that? Let's say emptiness. You know, emptiness you can understand. Not the Buddha nature. You know, usually talk about the emptiness. That one is not exist in the present wisdom, not exist a simple way, unconceptual mind. On that is not exist, but you still believe exist. So that means, in simple way, empty of itself, self-empty. Self-empty, that emptiness is never exist on pristine wisdom, not exist unconception wisdom. On that never exist, but you agree exist because you are Rinpoche saying is self-empty is the ultimate truth. Remember? Of course, the emptiness is self-empty, and you, of course, you agree this is the ultimate truth. But this actually never exists. This is the only exist in conceptual level, only exist in the relative level, not the ultimate truth level, not the personal wisdom. Perceive, never perceive that. Why? Because you can't exist because this is, in as Gelpa said, is non-feminine negative. Therefore, you are not relying on personal wisdom. You are relying on conception wisdom. I don't know, is even so wisdom. We can say you rely on you rely in conception. That's why you are out of the relying what Buddha say. That's he said. Jarvi sonwi churnam parchir zinner gonder tsadden tamshed of deno law. So why you are so wrong, so wrong, so wrong? Because you agree all the Buddha's teachings are wrong, many invalid. And you agree the commentaries are valid, are the truth. He said, they know law means he marong with, you know, he disagreed. You say that. Oh my God, means tamche they know law. Zawar zenar gonder den mastet. Oh, this one I think wrong, the spelling. Zawar zenar gondel. Gondel angararta da gondel ajondel. Not ambararta da gondel. Yes. Angararta da gondel. Gondel den mastet. Shun fonjan kanzak nam lastunsi. He said, the root of Buddha's teachings if it's not valid, the commentary is valid. So choose the rely on the Dharma, you rely on person, gender equality, and so forth, who you like to agree. You just only rely on those people, not Buddha's Dharma. So that's why you are out of you are out of the for reliance. The next one, our teachings are taught by Buddha mostly. So while they are valid, commented by okay. Yeah, okay. I think you can check that translation. The next one, Gapang Yikis Narma Koas Stoke Wavin Siglaston by Yut. Ranton ma Shimjong Parchir Naston Bavili Rant of Shurayan, the Garwi Gali Stone Bavjorn, Jiban the Trangi Listanti Nabarshapa Os. Gpagniki Narmako Asosi. Understand and the real and in terms of the two negotiations. Can you read that commentary, Tamijasan?
Understanding the real in terms of the two negations, one that includes an affirmation and one that does not. Logicians and those like them rely on fallacious words and not the infallible meaning, the Dharma of realization.
Is that anything can understandable? The essence?
How would you say the essence, Rinpoche?
You don't understand the essence?
I have my perception of it, but I'd prefer to hear yours.
Yeah, you said your position. The meaning, the essence, what just try to say in here.
He's saying that by only relying on understanding the two types of negations, of whether it's affirming negation or a non-affirming negation, logicians rely on fallacious words, which means they're relying on just the expression and not the meaning of those expressions.
Okay. Maybe here, I'm not sure, is I try, so then you can understand. Means I don't think this is feminine negative and non-feminine negative. His meaning is contradiction, you know, like one or other.
Dualism, those kinds of things?
No, you can't say it's dualism. You just have to say, if we say exist or not exist, or true or not true, that kind of that means one have to be and one cannot be. Okay?
Still exclusion, mutual
Yes.
exclusion.
Yeah, he said this kind of the logic, this kind of understanding is Stokeva. Stokeva, you know, yeah? Stokeva means the like logician, very intellectually, very intelligent, but not more than that. Okay? Stokeva. Stokeva is always in the text.
We call them sophists, people who are focused only on logical argument.
Yes. He said, you are Rantobas, always like that. You are Stokevas. That's why you are relying on the words, not the meaning. That's he said. Okay? Why he said that? He said the ultimate truth, Buddha nature, is you cannot rely on conception logic. You cannot say if the empty cannot be truly exist. You know, if it's emptiness, then you cannot be truly exist. If it's empty, then it cannot be form. Form of emptiness. You cannot say this. If it's empty, cannot be have form. Like that kind of, this Toke logic. He said, if you do that, then you are not relying on Buddha's teaching, the four reliances. You are only relying on the words, not the meaning. Because Buddha nature, the Attatangata is still is self, but is not self as a person, not self as we think, the samsaric self concept, not that. It is Buddha nature. Still you can say self, is supreme self. You can say this is permanent. You don't have to rely on impermanence, everything. You don't have to rely, you don't even say is interdependence, is go beyond interdependence. So if you do that, then you become Thokewa. You are not understanding the truth. That's he said. Then he said, he said, the most of Ranton bas come later. They are out of the four reliances. He not said 100% of the Ranton bas, but he said the most of come later. Buddha's teachings, the most important is this four reliances. So this is, he analyzed what is provisional teaching, what is definitive teaching. He analyzed what people took, and he pointed out all is wrong and why is wrong. Okay? So what time now?
12:41. Or sorry, we have about half an hour, 40 minutes.
Okay, half an hour. So do we have any questions from last time? Written?
Yes, we did.
If yes, we can go those a little bit.
It wasn't a lot.
Something already answered, then you don't have to discuss.
Being such a great Rimé master, I am wondering how Taranatha would view non-Buddhist teaching. So we kind of discussed this, would speak of things arising from a truly existent self-God primary substance. Would he say they are valid in the same way he speaks of the Hinayana teachings, or would he say they are false, even though they may be useful stepping stones for people?
Can you explain a little bit?
They're just wondering how Taranatha would view the idea of an existent self-God. Would he see the teachings as valid? Or the person's wondering, yes, because they're wondering if, when we talked about the Hinayana teachings as being beneficial and valid because they're on the path, they're still part of the path, they're valid as a form of teachings on appearance. So yes. This person's wondering if Taranatha would say then the self-God primary substance teachings are still valid because they're useful for people.
What self-God?
Like the idea of the creator God.
Oh. Okay. So I think, in my understanding, Taranatha's point of view is anything teachings based on virtues. No matter you believe God, you believe whatever, as long as leading your virtuous actions, you know, and then he see us part of the path. That's I believe like this way. Why I believe this way? Taranatha say, in our practice, Ngondro, inside the Guru Yoga, he mentioned all these God created figures like such as Shiva, Indra, all of them. He said they are emanation of Buddha. But he said emanation of Buddha is not saying Hindu way. Not Hindus saying, oh, they are emanation of Buddha, emanation of them. He's not saying like that way, but he's saying emanation of Buddha means Buddha, the truth Buddha, the Tathagata. He believes emanation of Buddha leading to a different paths, different capacities. As same as, you know, like we have to give different medicines for different illness. One of the medication is maybe poison. You know, if I'm a good doctor, I give a medication, one individual patients could be poison the other one. But I know which one is suitable for the other. So I think Taranatha doing this way. But this is, I said from the beginning, remember, don't think when Taranatha arguing everybody and defeating every ponce, not think he is very sectarian and leading by a jealous and anger and how to say bias. So when he talking about the philosophy to start to understand the ultimate truth, of course, he have to be very sharp and very critical. But I think Taranatha is the most real, true Rimé. We can prove by his actions and what he done for everybody. Every Tibetan tradition, he done a lot of work for them. And everybody rely on his works, and everybody developing based on his work. Okay? Any other question?
Yes, one question. Me said, if a normal person, then how Yangtong viewpoints and Langtong viewpoints, and what's different for action, for practice? What's different? Yes.
Yeah. For normal practitioner, what is the difference the Langtong point of view and the Zhentong point of view? If the Zhentong point of view, your hearing is not really wrong. It's not wrong. There is many teachings is like 99% is right, everything. There is maybe 1% wrong, but 1%, but that you don't even understand yet. So it's not much relevant for you. So there's no problem at all. But for Zhentong, if the normal person very low practitioners still hearing the Zhentong point of view. You hearing the 100% right, whether you understand or not, whether you understand 5%, still you hearing the 100% is right. So I think is worth to hear, regardless your level of understanding. Is hearing is something very incredible merits. The Buddha from Dorpo. Most of them, he like crying when we read in his text. He's like, he feels so sorry who not understand Zhentong, and he just crying for them, that kind of. And he saying this is, even hearing is so important, is such incredible merits required to hear it. So that's why it's good. Yeah, doesn't matter you hear Zhentong or Zhentong, either way is very, very worthwhile. Yeah. Okay.
Okay, there was another question. This person just wanted to understand if they got the essence from last week.
Yes.
All of the three turnings are, all of the three Dharma wheel turnings are valid. And in no way one can say that some of them are false or just provisional, as commonly Tibetans refer to, because all of the three turnings are authoritative word of the Buddha, and together, step by step, they lead to omniscience. Is this correct?
Yes. Yes, correct to understand, and I'll tell you why. Because first Dharma wheel never said, oh, everything is truly exist, and never empty. You cannot find empty, never said. You cannot empty, you cannot negate it. It is absolutely truth, is inherently exist, never said. Only just mention very briefly, we know that and even saying no self, but not too much mention no phenomenon. So everything said is beneficial, and never said something completely contradict to the second Dharma wheel. And then second Dharma wheel, emptify everything, looks like contradicting the first Dharma wheel, but reality is not really contradicting. Sounds like contradicting, but it's not contradicting. Why? Because never said not empty. Then third Dharma wheel, of course, never contradict. Again, appears sometimes contradict if people don't understand. Because you mention self, you mention is not independent, you mention truly exist, but a different meaning in different levels. So never contradict. And never delete what the emptified. That's why Zhentong part never delete. You just tell extra the Zhentong, what the Buddha nature really is. So basically, all the second Dharma will talk about, mostly is the Zhentong point of view, mostly. And that's third Dharma will never contradict, only telling extra because second Dharma were never mentioned what is really is Buddha nature. You only talk about how to negate in the relative truth, but not what is the absolute truth really is. So that's why the extra talking is not contradiction. Okay.
Lei, do you have any more questions from last week? I have a few more, but they're definitely ones that were more inspired by the teaching and not direct to the text. So just seeing if you have any more direct to the text questions before I move into those.
No, he said no.
No? Okay, so I think because we talked a lot about, because of the Taranatha's text is about Rimé, the question arose about, from this person about the Buddha Tompa Shinra Miwoche, the Bun Buddha, wondering if that is also an emanation of the Dharmakaya Buddha. What is that from the Rimé perspective? Do they include the Bun?
Of course. Of course. Tompa Shinra's teachings, so many incredible teachings, even exist right now, and how many people lead into the, virtues, even right now, so of course.
Then another question was, do you know how the reaction was at the time that Taranatha wrote the text? Like, what did the geshes or people outside of the Jonang think when this manifested?
I don't know a specifically reaction on that text. This text, I never heard anything. But the problem is there's a lot of reactions on Zhentong. Mostly is from Gelugpa, not others. But always they're talking about something, not Zhentongpa really agreeing. That means they not fully understood what Zhentongpa really position. Always criticism based on that. I'm not saying they don't understand 100%. Of course, they understand some direction. And then, two things. Firstly, they not understand the Zhentong's position 100%. Second, their criticisms are based on their own, according to their own text. And then third person listen, only which one is more makes sense. But your own party, given everybody say, oh yes, you said is right, it doesn't really much credit. Okay, so that's the problem. That's why I need here by third people, independent people, not thick propensities of your party, and more simple way, not too much brainwashed on your own party's philosophy, your own party's text. These people can have to understand.
The next question is, would today's quantum physics that are working on studying like final reality or absolute reality, do you think they can help clarify the Zhentong view to a wider audience?
I don't know, because I don't know too much quantum physics, so maybe Tammy Johnson can know a little bit more. Maybe Tammy Johnson say a little bit on that.
There's definitely a lot of room for discussion and exploration there. There's a lot of questions that are unanswered in quantum physics, where the Buddha's wisdom and understanding and the Zhentong understanding can contribute to the exploration. Probably as much as I can say at this stage. Lots of room for collaboration.
Yes, I guess. Okay.
Okay, the next one I just got based on the bun being brought up. So it's in Dzogchen Bun tradition, they have the opinion that Rangtong and Zhentong vision are only partial versions of reality, one from the relative truth point of view and one from the absolute truth point of view. What's your response to this affirmation?
That's not only just upon the maybe opinion, that's often opinion by the Nyamapas. Okay? So this is like always one party's opinion. Okay? So if the Zhentongba's point of view, like they think in that opposite, opposite. That means your Dzogchen you have some limitation, and the other Rangtongbas you have some limitation, and then the Zhentongba is saying very directly the ultimate truth, saying like that way. So that one is not so much beneficial. I come on, I think the most third parties, independent people should analyze, not brainwashed by one party.
Okay, I don't have any more questions related to this one. I did get one question that came in. I got a few questions, but I have one that did come in from the forgiveness and samaya. The recording that you did. Do you mind if I ask that for people? Yeah, so this person's wondering, with all of the challenges with guru scandals, the sex scandals and everything. So the question came in, just to give a little context to everyone on here. Rinpoche did a recording for our benefit that's called Buddhism, Forgiveness, and Samaya. It's available on Dzogden SoundCloud and also on Khentrul Rinpoche's website. It's been translated into several languages. So it's brought up quite a few questions. And this particular question is, what should a student do if the teacher themselves are the samaya breaker? If they've committed unethical or dishonest acts or sexual acts, should they warn people about this teacher to stop them from continuing? After all, don't Dharma teachers have to follow generally accepted ethics and the laws of the country? So they're wondering what to do if they think the Dharma teacher is the samaya breaker.
I think everything is you have to try everything within your limitations. Within your limitations. So that means everybody have to know we are sentient beings and we have everything have a limitation. Our perception always black and white, and then we act in accordingly. So the teacher have broken samaya or not also depend on our limitation of pure perception. So that means in your perception, you cannot have a pure perception. So when you cannot have pure perception, then your own perception, the guru is samaya breaker, of course. And then, and nobody can say, oh, you cannot blame the Lama because your unpure perception. And nobody can't say that. I mean, nobody can't say this means it doesn't work. because you have to work on your own limitation. So that means if you see as your guru is a smile breaker, that is very unfortunate. So that means you took a wrong guru, or you have the unpure perception, even your guru is enlightened, but you see only seen as a smile breaker. If it's like that, and then you just maybe focus only how much you can forgive and how much you can have good motivation, whether you tell other people or not tell other people, whether you warn other people or not warn other people. You have only, I think you only focus your own intention. So if your intention is, you know yourself, is 100% is a kind and pure. I mean, pure means you have too kind and to other people. Really, really 100% you don't want that kind of bad guru follow that kind of lama. If that's the only really reason, yeah, and why not? You can warn. Whether your warning is I don't know, have a good result or bad result, but as long as your intention is pure, you know. But the most of the time, people have another intention, you know. So very important to check your own intention, that's all. So because if you are not a pure intention, then you create more negativities, right? So, but also you don't have to, if you have you have these incredible limitations, then you don't have to pretend you don't have limitation, and then, you know, and you suffer inside, and outside you pretend. You don't have to do that either. Is that making any clear?
I think hopefully it will, and I'm sure if you sent in this question and watch this video and want further clarification, you can definitely message him again.
Yes, if they can watch those and listen to those,
sure.
Clarify it. Yes.
And that was all of the questions that got emailed in from the previous week.
Yeah.
If anyone else is almost time, I think.
Yes, anybody have any more questions?
Yeah. So we'll give another second. If anyone else has any other question, you can ask it, or you can just email any questions you have from this teaching in to chloe@dzokden.org. I'll put the email on the teaching for next week's teaching. You'll also be able to rewatch the teaching. It will be on Facebook and YouTube, and it will also be available on the SoundCloud. So I think we'll do the general dedication. So page 272 in the Profound Path of Vajra Yoga. Okay. By all these virtuous deeds of accumulated merit, may all beings be rescued from the ocean of samsara, where the tide of aging, sickness, and death is violently active. May this merit help all beings attain Buddhahood and be victorious over all the enemies of deceptive obscurations. By the goodness of what I have just done, may all beings complete the accumulation of merit and wisdom and gain the two sacred bodies. In future lives, may I never be separated from my glorious Lama. May I never be separated from the joy of practicing the precious Dharma. May I accomplish all the enlightened paths, attain the Buddhahood of Vajrayana. As long as space endures, as long as beings exist, may I remain and expel their sorrows until they reach Buddhahood. May the precious supreme renunciation arise, which has not yet arisen, and may that which has already arisen not degenerate, may it increase. May the precious bodhicitta arise, which has not yet arisen, and may that which has already arisen not degenerate, may it increase. May the precious view of the emptiness of interdependence arise, which has not yet arisen, and may that which has already arisen not degenerate, may it increase. May the precious Dharma be respected and remain in this world, the only medicine and cure for suffering. The source of all happiness is the sacred Dharma. By the power of the three bodies of the Buddhas, the immutable truth of the Dharma, and by the power of the inseparable union of the Sangha, may all our wishes be fulfilled. Through the ultimate view of the sutras, the great Madhyamaka of the Zhentong Middle Way, and the ultimate view of the Tantras, the indestructible 6 yogas of Kalachakra Tantra, may the glorious Jonang tradition flourish. Shar Khentrul Jamphel Lodrö, mind of love and compassion, peaceful and gentle in nature, fields of manifold appearances, glorious and powerful, great mind of limitless depth, ocean-like treasury, sublime counsel, guiding all beings in a manner suiting their needs. Unification of the 3 trainings, faith, diligence, and concentration, priceless vitality, courageously manifesting the confidence of wisdom and compassion, creator of peace and harmony, please remain upon your Vajra throne. May your enlightened activities be accomplished in accordance with your great aspirations.
Thank you, everybody. And make sure you have questions next time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rinpoche. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone, for joining.
Thank you, Rinpoche.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rinpoche.
Thank you.
Thank you. We'll see everyone next week at the same time.
Thank you, Rinpoche.
Thank you, Rinpoche.
Thank you.